All right, what's going on, guys? We are about to get set up for a back day in the new gym. Loving it. Loving the surroundings, loving the vibe, loving, honestly, the serenity. Not so many people, okay? I love helping you guys remotely, but all these people in my space when I'm trying to train, and it genuinely is just more difficult to make the content. People are like asking you what the camera is for. You look like you're talking to yourself. They're upset that you're taking up so much space. So the new gym has absolutely been an upgrade in terms of creating this content for you guys, but also just my training. I can lock in a little bit better. I do miss the crowd in terms of feeding off the energy, but at the same time, I do appreciate peace and solitude, even when I'm lifting. So let's get dialed in here. We're gonna knock out a back day. I think almost all of our movements are gonna be on the same machine. So I'm gonna show you how to basically have a full back day, so long as you have access to this one machine. So the general structure of back day is broken up into two different types of movements. You have your horizontal pulling movements, like a row, and then you have your vertical pulling movements, like pull-ups or lat pull downs. And so we're about to jump into alternating. We'll do a horizontal, then we'll do a vertical, then we'll do a horizontal, then we'll do a vertical, and then we'll go home and smash a shitload of food. That's every day of your life. You do the work, you get the rewards. So let's get into it. I'm gonna jam some music, so hopefully that's not too disruptive to my concentration while I'm trying to narrate all the form tips and everything. But hey guys, come on. I get to enjoy music while I'm lifting too. So let's get set up.
All right, we mentioned half of back day is vertical pulling and half of it is horizontal pulling. So we're starting out here with our first vertical pulling movement. And I also mentioned we're gonna do almost the entire day on one machine. And that machine is going to be a cable cross setup, which these come in many different forms. Some of them have adjustable arms. Some of them are just a vertical rack that you take the pin out to either move the pulleys high or low. This one is one of the adjustable arm kind, but it really doesn't matter. It's the type of machine that has a pulley on each side. And so we're starting out just doing a little bit of stretching and lightweight movement for single arm pull downs here. You can see I'm keeping my chest up, tilted up and backwards towards the ceiling, and trying to pull my elbow back to my hip, imagining that I'm trying to fit it basically into the pockets in the back of my pants. You could do these both arms at a time if you wanted to, but I find I have a little bit more of a pinch and a mind muscle connection when I do them single arm. So, as you can see, we're rocking the very first one-of-one prototype Beholden to Truth hoodie with the John 15:18 verse on the side. This was not mass produced. This was as I said, one-off prototype that I was toying around with. Actually ordered on Amazon, a custom hoodie on Amazon, before I found an actual supplier. Also, take a look at the surroundings. Very aesthetic gym, I gotta say. This is Arsenal Fitness, and the surroundings, just the entire vibe of the training environment is different here. Previously, I was training at this massive, like shopping mall sized gym, over 10,000 square feet, 2 different outdoor areas, swimming pool, basketball court, movie theater, hot yoga room, cold yoga room. It has all the bells and whistles. It has the tanning beds and massage chairs and all that stuff. And I like some of that stuff. Occasionally, I'm not the movie theater and the basketball court and all that kind of crap. I don't use any of that. But I like the fact that it can host a very large number of people, because that kind of creates a buzz when there's a lot of people in there, going after their goals. But this gym is a stark contrast to that, in that I think the total thing is probably 1,500 square feet. I mean, it's like 10 to 15% of the total square footage. It's a lot quieter. Well, I take that back. They do jam a lot of music that gets on my nerves, but that's just kind of what you get with almost all gyms. If it's a public gym, you can't do much about that. Got to bring your own headphones. And that's actually why I'm doing a voiceover commentary for this, because While I was trying to record the narration for this, the music was too loud in the gym, and I really just wanted to focus on having a good workout. So I decided, you know what, we'll just record the narration when I get home. But here you can see I jumped up instead of doing these kneeling. Same movement though. It's still single arm pull downs, really focusing on squeezing that lat, right beneath the armpit on each individual rep. Apologies in advance. There's definitely going to be a lot of nip slippage in this video. I got the whole vintage swag going today. That's the very first Beholden to Truth tank top also that I made. Same thing, Amazon special. So as you can see here, I'm mixing them up, doing a little bit of both arm, a little bit of single arm. And I also have a little bit of a different setup going on with the camera recording equipment. Little things that you wouldn't know unless you're into videography, but we applied a black mist filter, and I'm not talking about like the virtual filters that you use on Instagram and CapCut and whatever. I mean a physical filter to the camera. It's called a black mist filter, and that kind of adds a little bit of a haze to, like, you see the fluorescent lights on the ceiling. It's like a nice soft glow. It smooths out the skin a little bit. It just adds a little bit more of a cinematic feel to everything. Also gave myself a haircut earlier in the morning today, so I figured, you know what, let's take the hat off. Let's show the new haircut. Trimmed the sides and back. I cut my hair myself, by the way. I have my entire life. This is another life tip from yours truly. Ever since my teenage years, I've cut my own hair. I just can't justify paying somebody on the low end $20-25, on the high end $50, $75, $100 to cut my hair, once a month. I just can't. It's not that I can't afford that. I can. But when you multiply out, let's just say it's, if you want a nice haircut, $50 a shot, you're paying $600 a year. You multiply that out by 20 years. I've saved like over $10,000 on haircuts over the course of my life. Okay. So if you want a free used car at some point, maybe you should cut your own hair. And for men, it's genuinely not hard. You buy a pair. I actually use the same clippers that I use for my beard. So put it on how many ever millimeters of a guard you want, and it's like a lawnmower. You don't have to do any kind of sophisticated fade. The exact same length for the sides and back. Grow the top out. Figure out a part that works for you, and there you go. A little bit of impromptu posing just in the middle of the sets to feel yourself, get a little bit of satisfaction from the hard work that you're doing. But as you can see, just in the background, there's not a ton of people walking around, which is just fantastic. I love it. Just compared to so recently training at these mega packed gyms, really just being able to come in here, set my tripod up virtually wherever I want it, do my thing. It's nice. It's very relaxing. It's like going to the spa. So we're still hammering out these vertical single arm and double arm pull downs, but I think we're just about done with these. I would say take note of the very slow and controlled movements. None of these weights are being jerked around. We're not using momentum. We're not trying to use our body weight or swing at the hips. That's probably the most common mistake of back day, is getting your hips involved. That's just inviting yourself to have lower back injuries. You really don't want that. You want your lower back and your hips locked while you are using the muscle, whether it's your lats, your rhomboids, whatever, to move the weight. Gotta love the natural light coming in through the windows here, showing off the leanness. Honestly, with this shot right here, you can see the obliques and the serratus are absolutely shredded. This is right around 6.5%, 7% body fat. I haven't changed in the 2 days since getting my body fat scanned. But now we have shifted into what some people call Supermans or straight arm push downs. Now, it's a little bit of a misnomer in that you don't literally lock your arms straight at the elbow. You're not locking out and engaging your tricep to keep your arm straight. But the basic premise here is that your arm is not bending at the elbow. You can see there is a slight bend in the elbow the entire time, but it's not moving throughout the movement. You keep your arm at the same angle throughout the entire movement. And this is actually the movement that introduced me to what it feels like to isolate the lats, the latissimus dorsi. I remember doing these at like a YMCA 10 years ago, my first year of lifting, and reaching over with my free arm because I was doing them single arm, and I could feel my lat like filling up with blood. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what that muscle is. I mean, the funny thing is, like, if you don't lift and somebody tells you flex your lat, you genuinely can't do it. Like, you don't know what that muscle even feels like when it is flexed. And not to mention, it's just like a mushy mess underneath your armpit. It's like soft like a pillow. But once you start lifting and you have a number of back days under your belt, you will understand what I mean by the wings there. You can see them in this back double bicep pose that creates that V taper where it's almost like a diamond look where you have very broad shoulders and then your lats underneath your arms are still wide, and it quickly narrows down, coming together at your hopefully 30-inch or less waist. That's the ideal. Broad shoulders, narrow waist. It's obviously called an X frame, not a Y frame, because you want to have the broad shoulders, the broad back, narrowing down at the waist, and not straight down like a Y. You should also see width and girth at the lower body as well. So that's why you have to have glutes, hamstrings, quads, all of those things accumulating size as well. So don't neglect leg day, because then you'll have a Y frame, which is also known as a Johnny Bravo or a SpongeBob frame. We want to have the X frame. A quick little pose down here partway through the workout, really trying to squeeze so much that it hurts. And then we have a front lat spread, and you can see that space between the torso and the elbows fill up, which is crazy. I mean, like there's no visibility, there's no window as you try to look into the background between my torso and the bend in my arms. All you see is just the serratus and the lats. It's a nice girth that you have to accumulate over a number of years of lifting to actually achieve that nice front lat spread. Takes a while. Got a view from the back here of the same thing, of the single arm, straight arm push downs. Now we have a rear lat spread where you have your hands on your hips and you are imagining pulling your elbows in front of you and up towards the sky, and that's what's going to pull your lats out as far from the body as possible. They also call that the barn doors. Some people would call that the cobra, where you can see, if you're lean enough, like kind of what looks like snake eyes in your back. Hitting a quick back double bicep from a low angle to see how that looks. And now the last movement of the day, the only movement that we changed machines for. This is a low chest supported row machine here. And it was my first time using this machine, or at least in this gym. So I was trying to figure out how to best position myself if I actually wanted to be all the way down on the pad, chest supported, or maybe up on one elbow. I think I mixed it up a little bit throughout these sets. But, I mean, this is why you have to be lean. I mean, because what makes this look so aesthetic is it's the serratus, dude. I mean, look at it. You look at it from the side and you're like, dude, is that his ribs popping? No, it's not your ribs right there, buddy. That is your serratus anterior. And you're not going to have that unless you're below 10%. And not to mention, obviously, you don't have a gut, a big balloon hanging down. So once you have cut all that fat off, simply wearing a tank top, getting a pump, you don't even have to be that jacked, because it really is more about the definition and being able to see all of these cuts and lines that the average person just doesn't have visible. Now, one thing I'll point out on these repetitions here, I mentioned every back day, is no swinging the torso, okay? You're not seeing my whole upper body come backwards and essentially hyperextend at the lower back. You're seeing it stay locked in at a consistent angle, and the only thing moving is my arm. My elbow is initiating the movement, and I'm pulling it back and behind my body with each repetition. And you'll also see a slight pause at the top of each movement just to pinch and hold and get very deeply familiar with that mind-muscle connection. Even 10 years into lifting, I still like to hold that movement and just feel the burn in the targeted or the desired muscle that you're working. I want to feel it. I mean, even small things that are not the muscle group that I'm working, but you can just see based on the level of leanness. You can even see the striations in the rear delt right there. Once again, that's just the payoff of very disciplined dieting. Switching up on the camera angle and also trying it fully just chest supported this time. So you can see I'm no longer being supported by my elbow on the pad. I'm actually laying on the pad. And you'd be surprised how little weight you need when you have removed all momentum and support from additional limbs from the movement. So if, like, for example, if my elbow is still on the pad, I could push with that elbow against the pad for a little bit of extra strength and a little bit of support for the movement. Whereas when I completely take my other arm out of the movement, and the only way I'm staying locked in is basically just by gravity. I'm being pulled by the weight down towards the floor. And the only way to not get pulled off of the pad is by engaging the lat. You really don't need that much weight. I think I was using like 25 pounds on each side. And I'm sure I could have gone heavier, but in the nature of being in a prolonged deficit, doing an instructional video talking about perfect form, slow and controlled movement, mind muscle connection, all that stuff, I chose to go pretty lightweight, nice, smooth, slow reps, really feeling the burn with every single rep. And that was our final movement of back day. So then we just hit a couple of poses to see how we're looking here. We got a front double bicep, the iconic front double bicep as is illustrated in the logo for Beholding the Truth. We got it on the tank top and we got it in real life. And then we have just some other more impromptu posing. We got a rear lat spread at the end of the workout here just to get another angle of that. You can't quite tell with the tank top on, the cobra eyes. You can see them just slightly, but the tank top literally covers them up. So one final back double bicep. It's obviously called back double bicep because you're seeing it from the back, whereas the iconic Beholding the Truth logo is a front double bicep. This is the same flex, but from the back. And the back, in my opinion, does look much better. You see the separation of the deltoids. You see the separation of the biceps and triceps, the lats. Beautiful, beautiful. And then a single arm bicep looking great. Feeling great. That bulge in the rear delts, the trap. And so, yeah, guys, that wrapped up our back day. Hope you enjoyed this casual narration and the new gym footage, getting cleaner every day, higher definition every day, 4K footage. So if you appreciate it, leave a comment, like, and subscribe. We're doing our best to serve you guys premium content.